Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I'm going to be doing my current brow routine. So if you want to see how I do my brows, then just keep on watching. Okay guys, so the first thing that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking my NYX Micro Brow Pencil. So before I start my brows, I always like to make sure that everything's kind of clean on my brows. Anything really noticeable, I like to get rid of those first. So my eyebrows are in pretty good shape right now, but if I have any leftover strays or anything, I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of those really quick. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to use the other end, because there's two ends to this. There's a spoolie side and then the pencil side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my spoolie and I'm just going to brush up my hairs. So now I'm just going to outline my brows. Trying to make brow like hair strokes. That way it looks a little bit more natural and you're not just like coloring it and it won't be as dark. So I'm going to start off with the bottom, just filling it in. So I'm not too precise when it comes to the filling in part. I kind of go more precise towards carving them out, which I will do at the end. So I just kind of like to get a base of how thick I want them and the shape I want them using this pencil. And so now once I have filled the bottom, I'm now going to start with the upper line. So I'm just kind of shaping them how I like them. And then making sure you always go back in with your spoolie and then brush it out, because it's going to bring the product together and it's also going to take away a little bit of the product as well. That way it doesn't look as harsh and as dark. So I'm kind of focusing more of the product towards the tail of my brow, and I'm not going too far towards the start of my brow, because you want to have that gradient effect where it goes light to dark, because otherwise if it's really harsh right here, then it just looks super unnatural, and we're trying to make it look as natural as possible. I am going to bring a little bit of product though right here. I'm not pressing very hard at all. I'm using a really gentle hand and I'm just kind of swiping just to put a little bit of color right there. So I'm just gonna go ahead and brush out my eyebrows one more time. So again, kind of messy, not the best, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna go in and use concealer and clean them up a little bit. So the concealer that I'm using is MAC, and it's the Pro Longwear concealer, but you can really use whatever concealer you're most comfortable with. And I'm gonna take this brush that I have here, and it's just basically a concealer brush. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my concealer and I'm just gonna squirt a little on the back of my hand, and then taking my brush, I'm gonna place it in there. I like to make sure that the brush stays flat, so when I press it in, I just kind of press it on one side, press it on the other, that way I don't get too much product. And so now I'm going to start carving out my brow. So once I carved it out on the bottom, I'm just going to start bringing the product down, because when I do go to do my eyeshadow, I will prime my eyes with the same concealer. And if this one dries and I put a new wet one on, you'll kind of get like a weird line right here. So I just like to bring it down and then just kind of blend it in. And I'll take my finger as well and just blend it in a little bit. So once I have the bottom done, I'm going to go ahead and do the top now. And then I do use my finger a lot to blend it. And then also blending it upward again, so you don't have that concealer line. And that way when you do your foundation, your concealer will blend in with it much easier. Okay, so now that I have done that, I'm just gonna take my spoolie and brush it out one more time, just to make sure it looks really good. My end looks nice and sharp, or as sharp as you want it. And if you do get a little bit too much product right here though, What you can always do, you can take that same concealer brush with no extra product, just kind of drag it into your brow, just to kind of get rid of some of that product. And if you do want your brows to stay in place, you can use a brow gel. And the brow gel that I'm using is by Anastasia. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my brow gel, and then on the tip, it kind of gets a little clumpy. So I like to just wipe it off right there, make sure there's no clumpiness, because once you put it on your brow, it'll be really dark. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take my brow gel and I'm just gonna brush very lightly. I'm gonna start from the back. That way you don't get the majority of the product towards the front of the brow. I'm just gonna brush it in an upward motion and then bringing it towards the front. So there you have it. There is my brow all filled in. Okay guys, so that was it. I went ahead and finished the rest of my makeup. I just want to let you know that practice makes perfect. My eyebrows even now are not perfect, but back in the day they used to be so much worse. They were big, they were bold and thick, and they were just not cute. So over the years I have gotten better and now groom my own brows as well. I hope this video gave you some tips and tricks and inspiration on your own brows. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you next time.